I'm really happy today to be speaking to Ben Jacobs. Ben's all the way from Los Angeles, so great to have another international guest on the show. Ben is the inventor of the Power Hour Tower, which is a fantastic adult drinking game. Um, Ben, just tell us about Power Hour Tower. It was your side hustle and how it came about.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here. Happy to chat, and happy to talk to my friends abroad about Power Hour Tower. Power Hour Tower is an adult remix of Jenga. So I was going around to all these bars in New York City. I've always had a brain that's looking for problems, solutions, different things to sell, products or services. And I noticed that at a lot of bars, people were playing traditional Jenga. And I was like, okay, like that's fun. Like it's an added activity to do while you're just like drinking beers or whatever. But then I started to notice that people were scribbling on the bottom of each block, and they may be writing chug your beer or kiss the person across the table from you. And it was pretty funny. And I was like, oh, wow, it's kind of like all these different games in one game. And it kind of was a good icebreaker and a good way to learn stories from your friends and play all these different games and tasks and challenges. And so my wheels immediately started turning. I was like, I wonder if I could buy one of these pre-made online. And so I went, and all I could really find were like really poorly made versions from China or handmade versions on Etsy, but nothing that was of high quality that I thought was funny, that kind of had a good sense of humor, um, that you could buy pre-made. So I started the process, and three years later, we have a good business on our hands, a very profitable business, and we've sold a lot of units and made a lot of fun nights. So definitely something I'm happy that I can hang my hat on.
Yeah, so how do you actually the process of having your idea, probably jotting it down on a bit of paper, and actually getting the product in your hand, which I presume is actually made in China or overseas, is it?
Yeah, so I'd say like I barely remember it all starting out, but I just made the decision that like I was gonna go for it. And there was like I just had to just see it through, because I feel a lot of the it's so easy to come up with ideas, but executing on them is what's challenging, and not giving up is what's even more challenging, because there could seem like there's not a light at the end of the tunnel for a long time. So I initially started making prototypes with local people in New York who work in wood and who could print on wood. And then I started figuring out the games. I brought the idea to my best friend, who's a brilliant guy, and was like, let's work on this together. Um, so we basically came up with all the games and tasks and challenges. I wanted to be scrappy and save money, so I hired a college student to do all the graphics and to design the packaging. And initially, we were like, let's just do a test run, manufacture in the U.S., and we know we won't make that much money off of it, but like we just want to see if it'll work. So then we found like a wood supplier in Michigan, a finisher who could then print on the blocks and sand them and package it and then do distribution for us in Wisconsin. And we went live on our Shopify and on Amazon, and we sold through the first 1,500 units. And we were like, okay, like we have a business on our hands. And so went through the whole process of trying to source a manufacturer abroad and in China via Alibaba. Did a lot of samples and communication, and built like a document basically specifying exactly what we need built. And that was a big challenge, but ultimately we were able to land on a good manufacturer and figured out how to streamline our operation. So how to send it through customs and use like Flexport or other services for the freight. And then what happens once it hits the US. So we set up warehouses, worked with Amazon to do fulfillment through them. And then that was like just figuring out and how to just improve the operations every day, how to make it cheaper, more efficient, et cetera. And then we also had to figure out the digital marketing. How are we going to teach people about this product? How are we going to get it out there? Yes, we spent like a lot of money on Facebook and Google, but I mean, I was also walking around with Power Hour Towers in my backpack every day, going to bars, playing, giving them out for free, taking photos, like just trying to garner up any enthusiasm I could. Um, and slowly but surely, um, things just snowballed, and it's been moving well. And now, like we're hoping to break into Walmart and Target, and it's been a journey. But like I think we still have more gas in the tank, and like we're excited for what's to come. But it's just cool to see something that didn't exist, and now it's like in so many homes, and random people will send pictures to me of like them seeing this game in like their friend's living room or in a bar or in a hotel. So
Yeah,
it's been a fun ride.
absolutely awesome. So back in those early days, were sales coming obviously through Amazon? Did you spend hours really learning how to market on Amazon, or was it those Facebook and Google ads driving business to Amazon, or was it going to your website?
Yeah, so I'd say in the early days, like you're so pumped, like you have this product, you're ready to announce it. Um, and I wrote this whole thing. I posted on Facebook and Instagram and hit up all my friends and family members and network. I was like, please buy my game, like leave a review. Would love to get your feedback. And you do that and you get like 200 sales. And then you're like, okay, like now I need people who've never even heard of me or heard of my game to buy, which is a whole different ball game. So that's where like I really started focusing on getting as much content as possible. So like encouraging people to post on social media, going to bars and like taking photos of groups in different angles, and just like I hosted a launch party where people came and took photos and played. And I just knew that we needed content to like fill up the website, fill up the Amazon listing, fill out our Walmart listing, have stuff for social media. That was one thing. And then it was okay, like how are we going to start digital marketing? And on Amazon, we were doing bare bones Amazon PPC campaigns, just trying to stay within our budget because we bootstrapped everything and the profits were used to purchase more units. So we had to be very frugal. And with that, what you need to know is that there are a lot of businesses and sophisticated people in the ad world who have all types of software and solutions that enable them to effectively win the Amazon game or win the Facebook game or win the Google game. And us as like a couple guys working on this like on the weekend trying to figure it out, it's like we were hemorrhaging cash because like we weren't running the ads as effectively as we could. Just because it's difficult. Like you're bidding every day. You're not sure like what's the right way. What are the experts truly doing? So spent a lot of time learning, instead of just like blanket spraying cash. I mean, that's one way to learn if you have it to burn, but we were going slowly learning. And then as we were learning and felt more comfortable in our skills and started working with select freelancers, we were able to ramp up the spend and therefore could perform better.
Yeah, so I mean, Facebook is, it's so much more, isn't it, than just doing a pretty picture and some text there. You really need to nail down, and it strikes me looking at your website, exactly who your customers are, and you've got a great quote on there. I think it says from memory, if you're a bird watcher, then you aren't ready for this. You've got it dialed down, I think, and I imagine you have got that person that in your mind, and that's what your Facebook is really directed in. But on your Facebook advertising, did you start off locally or in your city, or did you do a nationwide campaign? How did you structure it?
So we had like a rough demographic that we were targeting. It's like guys and girls 21 to 40 who like to drink and play games. And like on Facebook, you can like really dive into your interests and really start to explore what works and test different creative and different copy with different audiences. And through that process, we kind of refined our branding and our messaging, which is very tricky, right? Because like I have my own voice, like I know what I think is funny. And there are other people who think what I think is funny, but that may not be the entire audience I want to capture. So we had to kind of try and craft narratives and create like not only adjust our copy on our website and our Instagram and Facebook ads to try and hit this like broad demographic so we could capture as many customers as possible. But also like in terms of like thinking through like the games on each block, we were like, okay, like I might think it's funny that a player has to do X, but like if you're at a bar and you're playing with random people, it may not be like appropriate for like a stranger to go sit on another stranger's lap. So like we had to like really like jump out of our mind and think through of the customer mind. And like an interesting thought that we had from there was like we thought the game was going to skew far younger. And we thought our target customers were going to be like 21 to 25, like in a fratty sorority type demographic, but actually skews way older. Our customers are like 30 to 50. And like I think it kind of shows that people's lives like don't just like end when they enter like true adulthood. Like they still want to have fun. They still want to have ways to have a good time with friends and hang out at their house and like have some beers and share stories. And I think we kind of hit that chord with them. And so that was like, you never really know who your target audience will be and who will convert well and who are the best customers. And it took a lot of experimentation, but I think we were finally able to figure out the messaging, figure out the content and the audience and like bring them all together.
So a couple of questions for you. You've now got a database of thousands of customers. One, do you plan on releasing a new version with different games? That's the first part of the question. And the second part of the question, have you ever considered making niche ones? So with your pieces, your wooden blocks, how about making those from X whiskey barrels or X wine barrels and having a wine or whiskey related games?
That is a fantastic idea.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I
10%,
love it.
please. 20%.
Yeah, I got you. Maybe five. We're negotiating. But yeah, we're planning on launching additional products. What's been interesting is, again, like we've bootstrapped this, so and it's been like our side project. So we both had full-time jobs, and we kind of had to pick and choose our battles. And our first battle was like, okay, how can we make the first game a big success? And then we were like, what can we do with this first game? Is it worth doing expansion packs where it's like, here's our rated R pack. Here is our, like, I don't know, name the niche, that pack. And we were thinking that's an interesting model, but instead we were like, let's develop like three key SKUs that we could really, that like we really think like hit core demographics. And so instead of like having like the one SKU and then just little like derivatives of it, we're going to have an XL version. So it'll be like large blocks that are like designed to be used outside, like at a brewery.
Yeah, or weddings, etc.
Or weddings,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that product we've finalized the sample process and that will be available in 2021. We're
No.
also trying to hit another demographic in a younger demographic, and we're going to develop family hour tower where people sub 21 can play because they've just been playing regular Jenga. But if we can change the games and tasks and challenge to like work with like a family of like kids from like 8 to 16 with their parents, it's a game that everyone can play and enjoy together. Um, So we're working on that as well. And something that I didn't know that I think is an interesting takeaway is as you try and break into retail and you're trying to get wholesale orders, being a one SKU business makes it nearly impossible.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to have an assortment of products because it is not worth it for them to onboard you, go through the logistics of getting you into stores for simply one SKU. So most products you see in there are typically part of like a larger conglomerate of products. So that's what we have, all that stuff coming down the pipeline. And now that we have some capital behind us, and some financing secured, we're able to push forward these initiatives. So took a lot of time focusing, and now we're able to fan out, and we already have the fan base, the brand recognition that we feel comfortable launching these new products.
Sure. And in the process of developing it, did you make any monumental mistakes or just some smaller ones?
Too many monumental mistakes to count. The first was just starting out the game. I was like, I don't even know where to start. Like there's got to be like a business out there that like helps inventors make their games into like, or their business or invention ideas into a reality. And like I contacted this company that got like decent ratings on Google, and I mean it's embarrassing, but like they like put together the most boilerplate like summary and like pages and sketches of what like our business can do. And like I was looking for a shortcut, and the reality is there are no shortcuts. So I spent like a few grand on trying to get someone to like help me through like the challenging first steps, when in reality I should have just been the one doing it. And that was my first error. uh Next error I'd say is it's easy to get caught in the weeds of Facebook spend and Instagram spend and Google, and just thinking, okay, if I throw more gas on the fire via digital marketing, I'll bring on more consumers. But it's easy to waste a lot of money. And if you're not cautious, like your CPA or your cost per acquisition or your CAC costs can per customer can eat away at all your profits. So you may be selling, but that selling doesn't really do much for you in terms of like having cash flow that you can then put into other elements of the business. So I'd say like we were overzealous in terms of like trying to like get the product out there in front of as many people and test a lot. I wish I'd spent more time up front, like focusing on organic. So I did spend a lot of time like emailing blogs and emailing thought leaders and influencers and getting products in their hands. But I also, and trying to like build a community by just like going to bars and talking to people and getting people engaged. But I wish I'd focus a little bit more time on that and like on SEO and content blogging that's like organic, than just like throwing money and just trying to make things work. But I'd say those are probably the two biggest mistakes I've made. And then the third is when thinking through like your e-commerce business, like I think it's essential you think through all your costs and the lifetime value you're going to get from acquiring your customer. So you have like the costs that go into manufacturing your product, fulfilling it, customer support, returns, refunds, etc., and then all your overhead. And then you have to think through how much it's going to cost you to acquire each customer. So if you're not left with much there, and it's not like a repeat purchase, like people aren't like, oh, I bought one Power Hour tower, I'm going to buy 5 more for myself. It's not really going to happen because they have the only one they need. But like with toothpaste, it's like a recurring purchase. So I think you need to think very carefully about like, okay, if you're a one-time purchase, how are you going to get more lifetime value out of that customer? Are you going to sell a bundle pack? Are you going to get them to, are you going to have like a referral program where you'll be able to get paid through them, but then you'll maybe get cheaper customer acquisition from the additional referrals that they can make. Or if I'm selling a mattress, it's okay if it costs me $200 to acquire a customer and then $200 to fulfill it if I'm selling it for 800. So just really thinking through the numbers and how you're going to like build like that margin per customer. Because if it's not on your first purchase, then it has to be on additional purchases or on referrals or via bundle packs or whatever. So I didn't think that through initially, and that caused some pain up front. Um, but yeah, that would be a lesson learned.
And how much have you spent sort of time-wise on getting automation into your business so you can actually work, on your business? Obviously, you've got fulfillment centers doing your distribution. In terms of the adverts, is that how often are you actually looking at the performance figures and making adjustments on what you're bidding on the PPC, etc.?
So I'd say like we were definitely in the trenches pretty frequently, daily. Sometimes we'd really have to flex and be in there a lot, trying to make it work. I think like I come from the world of tech, and I'm just so used to seeing like VC dollars just being thrown at problems. And when it's your own money, you have to think through a little bit differently. And so you want to be a micromanager. You want to really understand how things are going. You're not just going to throw money at a solution. We worked with agencies and they didn't work, and like I didn't hesitate to fire them. Like there are just things you learn like going through it, and like you realize that there's just no substitute for doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And like there's just like I might not have the full knowledge, but like it's important for me to spend the time to understand it so that I can ask the right questions when I'm interviewing potential freelancers or agencies or whoever. But if I don't have that base knowledge, it's like so easy to get duped and to waste money and to like believe in these like fake promises, because there's a lot of garbage services out there, where you can easily just hemorrhage money, and maybe they're not even bad, but you're just not big enough fish, to
Yeah.
merit enough of their time.
And in terms of expansion of the product sort of globally, I think obviously the UK, the USA, Australia, it's pretty much all aligned culturally, whereas some other nations wouldn't be. It strikes me that you could sort of, be almost in every country you wanted to be via using, Amazon and fulfillment by them. Have you got plans to do that? Or is it just too much work to actually do the marketing required in those countries?
Yeah, we're coming for the UK. We're coming for Australia. Coming for Canada. We'll be there hopefully by the end of the year. We're leveraging Amazon to cover a lot of the territory, but we're also leveraging a pretty cool company called Passport, which enables us to ship abroad. And like, I mean, we think our game can fit any demographic across the world. Everyone likes to hang out. Everyone likes to like have drinks with friends and play games and tasks and challenges. So if anyone has any bright ideas on like I would love to be in retail stores all over the UK. Like I would love to be in Europe. Like we're working on translations. We're making a Spanish version. All that stuff is coming down the pipeline. But like also need to be rigorous about prioritization. It's like, okay, we're launching these additional products in the US. Next is retail and international expansion.
Yeah,
Then
I know
where do we go?
certainly. But in my book publishing, company, I used to publish books on photography, and the US was a big market for me. And I spent quite a lot of time out there, promoting the books. It shows in Vegas, and it's back in the days where I could drink all night and sell all day. But I can't do that now. I'm a bit too old. I suffer.
Hired.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
certainly had a US distributor, and that just worked really, really well for me. But yes, people I knew, actually, just a friend, and yeah, they had it all sorted out, and it just increased my sales so much. It's the same product. So I'm trying to think, are there any possibilities that you could license the product to other nations to expedite things?
The way I view this business is let's just make things happen. Like let's just see what works. Let's explore any and all opportunities, because you often get a lot of no's. Like I've gotten so many no's. So you never know like what could be the one angle that works. So I've reached out to some like beer companies about doing licensing. I've explored different ways to like have like a sponsored product. I'm open to anything. So
Yeah.
if there's even a small retail chain that wants to carry it, I'm in. We'll make it happen. Because like doing like as I said in the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast, and as I'll say on this one, it's like the more things you just put out, the more things boomerang back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my mentality, and you just never know where things will lead. So just gotta keep trying.
It strikes me, things like, football teams having a licenses with them and their own branding.
I'm
Absolutely,
thinking
huge.
like I'm thinking Man U, Power
Yeah,
Hour.
yeah. But that's what their business is, isn't it? It's licensing products.
Yeah,
Sell
maybe
it
I'll
with
be on the jerseys. We'll
well, that's a
sponsor.
bit expensive. That'd be a few million quid. But
Yeah.
just before we wrap
Maybe
up
next year.
here,
Maybe next year.
say again, sorry.
Maybe next year.
Well, why not? Why not? It only takes one thing, doesn't it? One deal, and you've gone global, and yeah, hey ho, you're all done. Out of interest, how much press attention has the product got?
So we haven't gotten like large media coverage, but every now and then I'll see like a random article pop up, and I'm like, oh, cool, like Power Hour Towers featured. Like I didn't even reach out. Um, we haven't spent much time doing PR because we kind of wanted to get everything ready. And I mean, one issue we've had is like we've been inventory constrained because like there's issues with like tariffs and things moving slower than expected, and us not having the capital to get all the units that we want to sell. And like we've had to pump the brakes on ads because we were running low. And if we were out of stock, it would really hurt our position on Amazon. So now is the first time in the history of Power Hour Tower where I have like a ton of units that are just dry powder. And so we're ready to go and like hit the gas. And so we're super excited for this year, and think this will not only be the first massive year for Power Hour Tower, but will be the year that like we start to compete with the Cards Against Humanities, the What Do You memes, the other large games in the space. And
Yeah,
there's time for a new game to sit on top of the adult party game throne, and we're coming for it.
good on you. So just wrapping up now quickly. Top 3 tips for anyone in the e-commerce sphere. What tips can you give them?
I'd say spend the time yourself trying to dig into as many solutions as possible. A lot of like this trick will work like so well. It's like you have to like watch like 100 YouTube videos and like read through a lot of Reddit channels and go through the Amazon seller forums and go through Shopify and talk with a lot of people to really sift through all the noise. And so I'd say like really put forth the time yourself and don't outsource until you have the knowledge where at least you can ask good questions.
Yeah.
I'd say that's one thought. The next thought would be really think through like your economics and realize that this is a multi-year thing. And like there's no such thing unless you have like a massive distribution network where it's like, oh, I can get something in retail, or I'm going to partner with a massive influencer where reach is automatically baked in. Like it's not that easy to market and to get attention, because there's a ton of people out there. It's really complicated, and trying to like find your niche and compete is expensive, and it will take a while. So really think through like the grassroots efforts, the paid efforts, and just realize that it's going to take time. Everything takes however long you think it'll take double that, maybe even triple.
How long
So
did it take for Power Hour Tower to really start gaining traction?
all our sales have been like like 4 or 5xing every year.
Oh wow.
Um, but it still takes years. And it's been like 3 years now. And I think like for Power Hour Tower to have the exit that I think it can. And if we even want to exit or if we just want to have the business just functioning, could be another 2 years, 2, 3 years. Um, and like I have other endeavors going on, but like never taking the foot off the gas and just making sure that maybe I don't do something every day, but chipping away brick by brick, like things are happening. So just never really relenting. And then I'd say like my third major piece of advice, probably the most important, partner with someone. Partner with someone you like and partner with someone who you have fun with, partner with someone who has complementary skills. Don't partner with someone who's your mirror image just because you get along really well. Find someone who likes to do the things you don't like to do and vice versa. And it just makes it so much easier to go through the pain of entrepreneurship. And even if you have a slightly smaller piece of the pie as a result of having to split it or go 3 ways with it, it just makes it so much more bearable. And like you pick up on different things when you have a conversation with a vendor, or you come up with different ideas and you're brainstorming, and you can just cover more ground. And I think like I'm sure there's data out there, but the likelihood of success of having a team as opposed to an individual, it's got to be like exponential. So those would be my guiding principles.
Yeah, especially if you're looking for an exit as well, then having that team in place, something an
Yeah,
investor's gonna look for,
yeah,
or a
yeah.
purchaser. Which is the one very very final question before we go. Do you and your partner, do you have any mentors, or is that something you just done it all yourselves?
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of three brothers. So I look up to my dad, my mom, my older brothers. They've always they're hard workers. They're very bright. They always have pushed me. And so they've always been mentors of mine in all things life and business. Um, what I would say is like no one in my family worked in e-commerce. So I had to find my own e-commerce mentors, and you never know where those are going to come from. And some people might fill this gap in your knowledge, and other people might fill this gap in your knowledge. And it just takes like the effort of contacting people and having conversations and asking them questions and trying to provide value back to them. I wouldn't say that I have like an official e-commerce mentor, but I've had many people help me along the ways. And through that process, like I hope to help people, but then like as I now try and get to like this next level, um, I hope to get mentors at a higher level, and then like it's kind of cascades, and you pay it forward. So um, I can't stress enough the importance of having people who've been through it who can guide you, because it'll save you a lot of time. It's like, mentors are books. Read good books, watch good videos. That's mentorship. Although it's virtual, and there's plenty of communities that you could find online who provide it.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good, solid advice there, Ben. Thank you very much. We're going to wrap up there. Before we do, where can people find Power Hour Tower?
Yeah, so definitely check out the game Power Hour Tower at our website, powerhourtower.com, or on Amazon. Just search Power Hour Tower, and if I do some writing on the side, so if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, go to benjacobs.substack.com, and you can read some of my thoughts and my musings. And yeah, would love to stay in touch. If anyone has any ideas or thoughts around partnerships, synergies, etc., I'm all ears. Hit me up, and we'll go from there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Ben. And next time I come to Venice, I'm usually in Venice every year, actually, on the way back from Kona in Hawaii on a gig I get down there. So I'm gonna hook up, buy you a beer. Been lovely
Perfect.
chatting to you.
Well, this has been super fun. Thank you so much, and happy to always help and hop back on.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ben.
Awesome. Thank you.